Good morning, students. This is class 9, subject science, chapter number 5, the fundamental unit of life, lecture number 2. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about how the cell was introduced, how the cell was discovered, and the classification of the organisms on the number of cells. Now, in this lecture, we will be studying about the components of cell. So, our today's first topic is what are the components of cell? Now, when we observe a cell under a microscope, we observe three basic components of cell. What are those three basic components? Number 1, plasma membrane, that is also called as cell membrane. Number 2, nucleus, and number 3, cytoplasm. These are the three basic components observed in cell. Now we will study each component in detail. First is plasma membrane. What is plasma membrane and what are the functions of the plasma membrane? Plasma membrane. The other name of the plasma membrane is cell membrane. So it is also called as cell membrane. The membrane which surrounds the cell. And it is the outermost covering of each and every cell. And this covering, this membrane, it separates the cytoplasm from its surroundings. You might know what is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is actually the fluid present inside the cell. So it separates the cytoplasm from the external environment. Now this plasma membrane, it is made up of two components, that is proteins and lipids, and it is found both in plants as well as animal cells. Plasma membrane is found in both plant cells as well as animal cells. And this plasma membrane or the cell membrane, we can say, it is selectively permeable in nature. What do you mean by selectively permeable? As the name indicates, selectively means it allows the entry and exit of only selective materials in and out of the cell. That is why plasma membrane is called a selectively permeable membrane. And this membrane is flexible in nature. Flexible means it can be folded, it can be broken, and it can be reunited. So this is about plasma membrane. Now what are the functions of plasma membrane? Here's one more thing. This plasma membrane, it enables the cell to engulf food and other materials from the external environment. Suppose food is present outside. Now plasma membrane is the only component of the cell that helps to engulf the food. Engulf the food means to take the food inside, and such process is called as endocytosis. And this process, it is observed in case of amoeba, in which this amoeba is actually irregular shape, and this amoeba, it obtains its food, it engulfs its food through endocytosis process. Now what are the functions of plasma membrane? Number 1, it regulates the movement of molecules inside and outside the cell. I discussed right now that how the movement of the molecules, how the movement of the particles inside and outside the cell takes place. Now also it gives a definite shape to the cell, since it is the outermost covering of the cell, and that is the reason it gives a definite shape to the cell. So these are the functions of plasma membrane, or we can say of cell membrane. Now the question arises, how does the movement of the substance takes place into the cell, or how do the substances move out of the cell? Now before starting the topic of transportation of the substances across the membrane, there are few terms you should know. Impermeable, permeable, semi-permeable, and selectively permeable. These are the four terms you should know. First of all, what is impermeable, or what do you mean by this word impermeable? Substances do not pass through the membrane. If we say this membrane is impermeable, it means any substance, whether it is solute, whether it is solvent, it does not pass through that membrane. So that's why we say that membrane is impermeable membrane. And permeable membrane, opposite of impermeable, we can say when substances, both the substances like solute as well as solvent, they can pass through the membrane. So that membrane, it is permeable membrane. Now the third term is semi-permeable. Semi-permeable means it allows the passage of only solvent molecules but it prevents the passage of the solute particles. Yes. What do you mean by semi-permeable? I repeat, semi-permeable membrane is a membrane which allows the movement or the passage of the solvent molecules only, like water molecules, but it does not allow the movement or the passage of the solute particles. So that membrane, that given membrane is semi-permeable membrane. Now the fourth but not the least, that is selectively permeable. You have heard this term before. Selectively permeable, I discussed in the plasma membrane topic. The plasma membrane is called a selectively permeable membrane. So what is the meaning of selectively permeable? If membrane allows the passage of the solvent as well as solute, but solutes, they are selected by the membrane. So that is selectively permeable membrane. Selectively means selective solutes. I am talking about solutes. So are you clear with all these terms? Impermeable, no substance pass. Permeable, both the substances pass. In semi-permeable, only the solvent pass but not the solute. And in selectively permeable, both solute as well as solvent pass but only selected solute is allowed. So these are the four basic terms you should know. So now the question arises, how the movement of the substances like carbon dioxide or oxygen, or we can say water molecules, they pass through the plasma membrane. How the movement takes place in and out of the membrane. The substances like CO2, oxygen or water, they pass through the membrane by two processes. Number one, diffusion, and number two, osmosis. Now you might have heard these two terms in the previous chapter also. I discussed there also. And I am repeating here also. So what do you mean by diffusion and what do you mean by osmosis? Diffusion means it is a spontaneous movement of substances. What type of substances? It may be solid, liquid or gases. So it is a movement of the substances from high concentration region to low concentration region. So all the substances they pass. But in osmosis, it is a spontaneous movement of water molecules only. So it means liquids from high concentration region to low concentration region through a semi-permeable membrane. So are you clear with these two terms? In diffusion, all the substances are passing, whether it is solute, whether it is liquid or whether it is gas. But in osmosis, only liquid particles, only liquid molecules are passing, that is water molecules specifically, they are passing. In diffusion and osmosis, what is the similarity? They are passing from high concentration to the low concentration region. And the difference, I told about the substances, and one more difference is there. Yes, one more difference. The difference is of membrane. In osmosis, a semi-permeable membrane is required for the movement of the water molecules, but in diffusion no such membrane is required. So are you clear with these two terms, diffusion and osmosis? So if I talk about carbon dioxide or oxygen, which process is involved? Diffusion, because these are gases, and gases, through gases, which process is diffusion. And if I talk about only water molecules, which process? Osmosis. So are you clear with these two terms, diffusion and osmosis? Now, next question arises, what will happen when we put an animal cell or a plant cell in a solution of sugar or salt in water? So, what will happen when we will put a plant cell or animal cell? Basically, we have classified the solutions on the basis of concentration. There are three types of solutions on the basis of concentration. They are hypertonic solution, number 2, isotonic solution, and number 3, hypotonic solution. So these are the three types of the solutions which are classified on the basis of concentration. I will discuss one by one each solution. So first comes hypertonic. Hyper. Hyper means more. Hyper means more. Iso means same or equal, and hypo. Hypo means less. Now coming to hypertonic solution. In hypertonic solution, what happens? There is more concentration of water inside the cell. Hyper means more, and focus on only water here first. If you will focus on solute, you will get confused. Focus the water here and that water will be inside. So there is high concentration of water inside. Now, if there is high concentration of water inside, so what will be the concentration of water outside? It will be low. And we know that water moves from high concentration region to low concentration region. So here high concentration of water is here and outside low concentration. So water moves from inside to outside, or we can say high to low. So if the water is moving from high concentration region to low concentration region, what does it mean? The cell, it will shrink. The cell will shrink because water is moving from inside to outside. Why from inside? Inside concentration of water is more and outside concentration of water is less, and water moves from high to low concentration. So inside to outside. Now water is moving from inside to outside. So cell will shrink. And what about the solute? If there is high concentration of water inside, it means there is low concentration of the solute inside and there is high concentration of solute outside. So it will be better if you just consider only one thing, either solute or solvent. So here I am considered only solvent. If you take only one case, the other case it will be opposite automatically. Now isotonic solution. Iso means same. Same. Which category we are considering, solute or solvent? Solvent. And so there is same concentration of the water inside as well as outside. So will there be any movement of the water molecules? No, there will be no movement of the water molecules. But one case can also happen that if 2 ml of water is moving from inside to outside, and in the same time 2 ml of water moves from inside to outside, means same concentration moving inside and same is moving outside. So as a result both will be balanced now. So that means that is an isotonic solution. That there is equal concentration of water inside as well as outside. It means there will be no net movement of the water molecules across the membrane. So what will be the shape of the cell? It will be normal. There will be no effect. Why there will be no effect? Because there is no net movement of the water molecules across the membrane. So that's why the cell shape is normal in case of isotonic solution. Now the third case is hypotonic solution. Hypo means less. Now I am considering which case, solute or solvent? Solvent. So high concentration of water is less where? Inside the cell. Consider only inside. Consider only inside only. In hyper also I consider inside. There is high concentration of water inside. So in hypo also consider inside only. Hypo means less. Solvent or solute? Solvent. So high concentration of water, less concentration of water inside the cell. Now see, there is less concentration of water inside and there is more concentration of water outside. So water moves from high to low. So it will move from outside to inside. From high concentration region to low concentration region. So water is moving from outside to inside. So water will come in. So the cell will swell. Cell will swell. So that is the case which is observed in hypotonic solution. So I am repeating again. In hypertonic solution, there is high concentration of water inside the cell and low concentration of water outside the cell. So water moves out. So cell shrinks. In isotonic solution, iso means same. So there is equal concentration of inside and equal concentration of water outside. So there will be no net movement of the water across the membrane. So the cell shape is normal. Hypo means less. Less concentration of water inside the cell. There will be less concentration of water inside the cell and high will be outside. So high to low. So water moves from outside to inside. So cell will swell. So is it clear about hypertonic solution, isotonic solution and hypotonic solution? Now you might have observed when your mother or you at your home, they put you some resins. Resins means kishmish. When you put some raisins in the water, they swell up. Why? Because hypertonic solution is there. Water moves from outside to inside. So that's why they swell up. So are you clear with all these three cases? Hypertonic solution, isotonic solution or hypotonic solution. So I'm repeating again once more. Hypertonic solution means if the cell has higher concentration of water than the surrounding medium, the cell will lose water by osmosis and hence the cell shrinks. Such a solution is known as hypertonic solution. And what is isotonic solution? Isotonic solution means if the cell has exactly the same concentration of water as the surrounding medium, there will be no net movement of water across the cell membrane. So the cell will stay the same size, that means normal size. So such a solution is known as isotonic solution. Now hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution means if the cell has lower concentration of water than the surrounding medium, so the cell will gain water by osmosis and hence the cell swells up. Such a solution is known as hypertonic solution. So are you clear with all these three types of solutions on the basis of concentration we have classified? So what is your today's homework? Do question number 1 and question number 2 given on page number 61 and question number 3, question number 8 and question number 9 given on page number 66 and 67 of the same chapter, chapter number 5 NCERT. And also you will learn the today's topic which is covered in the lecture. So some of the students might not be having the books. So I am repeating the questions for the homework. Page number 61. Question number 1 is, how do substances like carbon dioxide and water move in and out of the cell? Second question is, why is plasma membrane called a selectively permeable membrane? Page number 66. The question is, what would happen if the plasma membrane ruptures or breaks down? Question number 2, what do you mean by osmosis or what is osmosis? And the last question, carry out the following osmosis experiment. Take 4 peeled potato halves and scoop each one out to make potato cups. One of these potato cups should be made from a boiled potato. Put each potato cup in a trough containing water. Now, keep cup A empty. B. Put 1 teaspoon sugar in cup B. C. Put 1 teaspoon salt in cup C. D. Put 1 teaspoon sugar in the boiled potato cup D. Now keep these for 2 hours. Then observe the 4 potato cups and answer the following questions. Question number 1. Explain why water gathers in the hollowed portion of B and C. Second, why is potato A necessary for this experiment? Third, explain why water does not gather in the hollowed out portion of cups A and D. So this was the last question. So students, I am discussing now the homework solutions of lecture 1, means the solutions of the questions given in the previous lecture. So in text question, page number 59. First, who discovered cells and how? Robert Hooke discovered cells in 1665 while examining a thin slice of cork through self-designed microscope. He observed honeycomb-like structures made up of many small compartments. He called them cells. Second question, why is cell called the structural and functional unit of life? Answer, a cell is called the structural unit of life because all living organisms, whether unicellular or multicellular, are formed of cells. B, a cell is called the functional unit of life because each living cell has a capacity to perform certain basic functions that are characteristics of all living forms. So in this question, we have divided this question into 2 parts. Why is cell called structural and why is cell called functional? So that's it for today's lecture. Thank you, students.